Today in the crypto space, we see the market going strong, 52,000 for Bitcoin, up approximately 1%. Ethereum up approximately 2.5%, doing really well, potentially hitting that $3,000 mark very soon. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, a mix of green and red. However, guys, generally speaking, there's still some really good bullishness out here. Look at VeChain, Uniswap, Filecoin, and many more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that is looking really good and it's trying to get that bounce. And of course, that project is called Tectum. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. But better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. Bitcoin is still looking okay, in the sense that it's still moving to the upside. No real sign of weakness just yet. All we can say is that Bitcoin is still moving to the upside. Lots of green price action for sure. Hitting this $52,000 mark could be the level of resistance that we're expecting Bitcoin to take that dip. But honestly, it's not worth shorting at the current moment. And in fact, it's not even worth longing the market on Bitcoin at the current moment. In my opinion, it's about time to wait for Bitcoin to give us a bit of data. Consolidate for a bit, go sideways, give us some tops and bottoms, give us a range, give us some sort of signal that we are potentially getting a continuation to the upside. As it continues moving up, the reality is getting into a trade at this current moment on Bitcoin, there's no real major levels of support right underneath, which means that we could get a retracement. And if that does happen, guys, you're going to expect a dip throughout the market. Of course, Bitcoin is going to basically induce a bit of fear in the market. Right now, the market is very greedy. If we look at the fear and greed, the index, right now, the Bitcoin, the market in general is very greedy. So what this leads me to believe is that there's a bit of froth in the market. Not to say that I'm not willing to go long, it's just not on Bitcoin. And as Ethereum keeps on climbing to higher levels and reaching potentially about 3,000, that's my short-term bullish target. After that, it's about 3,500. But the reality is as Ethereum keeps on grinding, I'm slowly going to get into that same state where Ethereum has done well. Ethereum, hit some good bullish price targets, and I'm no longer going to be looking for entries on Ethereum. But the rest of the market, guys, is still looking hot, still looking good. Look at BNB up 7%. Guys, finally, we're seeing BNB make a full recovery here after the bunch of FUD on CZ and, all that stuff. So ultimately, really good to see BNB, the Binance coin, right back up to, 7%, 12% in the last little while. Looking really good with that nice explosive move to the upside. And if we continue going through the market, we can be very general here. You can see that either they're running or they're somewhat grinding slowly or going sideways. So generally speaking, we are still moving to the upside. But I still feel like the market is a bit hesitant, given the fact that Bitcoin could roll over. This is why it is super important that we look for bottom level prices, that we're not buying tops. Cardano's taking up little by little. Right now, Cardano's up 14% in the last 7 days. AVAX up 17%. Even Dogecoin is getting a bit of a pop here. Chainlink is up 10% for the week, and so on and so forth. You can see there's a lot of good gainers here. So the reality is that, in my opinion, obviously, none of this is financial advice, but if we are going to get an altcoin season, I do expect a lot of the undervalued altcoins to run hard, to catch up to the rest of the market. Number one, to catch up to Bitcoin. Number two, to catch up to Ethereum. And number three, to catch up to some of those altcoins that have already run and are very strong right now. Those are risky. You got to understand, some of them keep on going. They go slowly. They keep on grinding. Yes, there's a lot of goodness coming out of those coins, but the entries have gone and passed. And at the end of the day, looking for entries right now it's a matter of looking for bottoms, in my opinion, right? Uniswap is taking off a bit, 8% to the upside. Not really looking for a fresh long at the moment, but you never know. Maybe we can get into a good level. We see stacks taking a bit of a dip, but nothing crazy. This dip is nothing crazy, because the reality is it's up 41%, and it is still up today 5.5%, which is still outperforming a few of these altcoins. So stacks is a beast, although it's retracing, guys. Stacks is a beast. Hopefully we're able to get in at lower levels, guys. We've talked about stacks significantly in previous videos, and to the point that I had to stop because really it started taking off. And the reality is, you know, once things take off, like Tau, you notice that I put it on the back burner, let it go. It's up 46% in a week. This thing's been flying. We've been covering BitTensor Tau at about $40, and all of a sudden now it's at 662. You can see what I mean. At the end of the day, it's not really the moment. There's a lot of people and some really good gains that at any sign of weakness in this market overall, even Bitcoin, people are going to start getting defensive on those gains. They're going to start taking profit. So this is the reason why I'm not really interested in these top gainers at the current moment. Near Protocol is not one of them. You know, it's been grinding at the bottom of the range for a good little while. Kaspa is definitely one of those top gainers. And just in the last, I would say, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, Kaspa has been pretty quiet, going sideways and not really doing too much. But Kaspa's still great. You know, the community's strong, the fundamentals are decent. We just need a little bit more progress in its development, but nonetheless, it's still decent. We have Injective looking a bit weak here. You got to admit, 3.5%, kind of looking sideways, maybe looking for that hang time. You can see it's actually breaking a bit of structure to the downside, which leads me to believe that it could be coming down for a bit of a dip, especially if we see a bit of negativity in the market, followed by Bitcoin. You never know. Filecoin looking strong. You can see the market is looking good. VeChain, guys, VeChain's finally waking up. Finally. You know, this is the thing. These sleeping giants that are just hanging out there doing nothing. And I know VeChain has been doing a lot of good background work during the bear market, building. And this is the reality. All of a sudden, you get a nice pop to the upside, and it's too late to get those entries. So VeChain, honestly, I've been DCing on VeChain forever, since the summer, previous summer. Obviously, it's up 57%. Guys, if you happen to build a position on VeChain, now's the time to come up with a defensive plan. I'm not saying to take all your exit your positions. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is trail up a stop loss, maybe take 10%, start looking for potential support levels. If it does get a correction, where would that support come in? Where's the next level of resistance that you may want to, you know, get super defensive on? So now it's time to make a plan on VeChain. VeChain took off today, 30% to the upside. Good stuff for VeChain. Finally, VET is waking up. Say is doing its thing. Say is doing its thing. It's up 9% today, still grinding, guys. You know, it's a love-hate relationship for me, for Sui, for Say, and there's a few others here that, of course, you can't catch all your entries. You can't catch all of them. And the reality is I would have loved to have positions on both and a few others, but I can't catch them all. But we can catch the ones that haven't moved yet, right? And one of them is, and even Render, if you look at Render, I think it's one of these projects that have moved so quickly and has done very well, but I'm not getting into any fresh longs. But we're looking for ones that haven't moved yet. And the graph is one of them, guys. GRT, the graph is definitely at the bottom of the range. So I'm interested in potentially building a position on that one. I do have a bag, but not a big position. My position focus lately has been on Zilliqa, ZIL. And it finally woke up today, guys. It's doing pretty good. I'm really happy that it got a bit of an explosive move. Nothing huge. But you can see the general market is also exploding. It's not just ZIL or, you know, so on. The only one that I kind of, you know, I'm concerned about is Quant, given the fact that it's still flatline going sideways like a stable coin at $100 for so long. And you know, it's almost leading me to believe that we may not ever exit this $100 zone. You know, like has the market gotten comfortable? And you know, obviously in a bull run altcoin season, we should see some good price action. But guys, like, it needs to start waking up to give me a bit of confidence here. If there's no price action, there's no confidence for me. Let's keep on going. You can see that the market in general is pretty green. Nothing too crazy. There's a few crazy gainers, but really the average maybe 5%. 5% to the upside is still a good thing, and we could expect a continuation to the upside market wide. And wow, look at BGB token, guys. You know what I say about when I see exchange tokens run. Number one, I would love to see all the exchange tokens run. Look at KuCoin right above it. It would be cool to see it, but it already did kind of run. If you can see, look at its price action, it's really top heavy. It feels like BitGet is just trying to catch up, right, to do its thing. But really, if you look at 7-day price action, BitCat is up 35%, guys. Decent stuff. Up and coming exchange doing its thing. The only issue is for me is that I don't like the KYC. No KYC options for me. So I'm not part of BitCat. I'm not part of KuCoin. I'm not a part of a lot of the exchanges that require KYC because I value my privacy. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at this market. Actually, let's take a look at Bitcoin. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin by looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still doing its thing, guys. There's nothing here to say other than Bitcoin hitting a nice bullish target at about 52. And for me, this whole range was a no trade zone for me for Bitcoin. I was prepared to see it move. I was okay with it making higher highs. I'm okay with all of that because I had faith in the fact that altcoins would be stepping in. And we can see that there are a lot of altcoins doing very well. And you can see that Bitcoin is going to potentially start looking for horizontal resistance. Now, we don't know where it's going to be, but if we look at this in a little bit more detail, we might be able to come up with a plan. Let's do that. You can see that we're really at a good level of horizontal resistance. Doesn't mean that it needs to happen. We do see a bit of a volume gap. We do have some tops right here that a lot of people are not really focusing on, this top right here and this top right here, and ultimately this volume gap, because there's an empty volume gap right into this zone, which leads me to believe that, we could actually break right through it and maybe get a rejection. And if we don't, guys, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, economically, my bags are ready and prepared for this thing to get to previous highs, which of course could be the next level of resistance. And if it isn't, a price discovery, all-time highs and all that good stuff, right? So what are we going to do here? Personally speaking, guys, honestly, Bitcoin is not for me. At the current state where it is, my positions are already established. If you're on the sidelines, I get the issue. The issue is that you want to buy some Bitcoin, but buying right now has its risks. If you're okay with signing on that dotted line to buy in at the current moment and assume the risk, guys, go for it. DCA, sure. But personally, I wouldn't recommend it to a friend. This thing is definitely really hot at the higher levels, and it could definitely get a bit of a rejection any moment. I know a lot of people are now saying, well, 40K, maybe that's the bearish target. But the reality is it could come down even further. It could come down to about 33 in my absolute bearish price target. Guys, you know that I'm not a bear, but I'm just prepared. I like to be prepared because if it does happen, I don't want to be left there not without a plan. I want to have a plan. I want to be ready. I want to be able to buy the dips. I want dry powder. I want to be ready for that because that would be a absolute amazing fire sale to get involved in. So the reality is Bitcoin is really frothy. I'm not really willing to get into it, but I am willing to look for altcoins that are around at this stage in the game, either still dealing with a bottom and fighting for the last line in the sand to hold support, or even getting a nice little back test, maybe coming down again and getting that confirmation low where we can get in from a good entry. So that's why I'm focusing on altcoins in the next little while. Guys, join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. We'll talk about altcoins, we'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the altcoin season and Ethereum and all that good stuff that could prepare us for the next leg of this market, because really Bitcoin going this high so quick, it could be an indication that the market is going to start waking up a lot sooner and earlier, and maybe the cycle will be longer. Maybe the cycle will just start earlier. We got to see what's going on here. All right, guys, let's move on. Today's video is on Tectum. Guys, if you watched my previous video and my deep dive on Tectum, guys, I suggest you do that. I did release that video a while back. Let's see if this loads fast enough. You can see that we do have a couple of deep dives, and my last deep dive that I did here, Tectum, 3 weeks ago. Basically, I release a deep dive every week, so this was 3 weeks ago. So if you're interested in the fundamentals, if you want to know about the fundamentals regarding this project, guys, I would suggest that you begin your research at this video. This video will give you all what you need just to get you bullish or bearish, depending on what you how you investigate this. But at the end of the day, I just want to bring you that information so you can make some critical decisions. Is Tectum gonna make it to your portfolio? Guys, let's take a look at this price action. At the end of the day, if you're looking for an entry, to be honest, just looking at it from a flat point of view, guys, the entry is decent. It's not bad. It is taking off a little bit, but the way the market is poised, the way the market is positioned, it is likely that we see Tectum reach previous highs and perhaps get into price discovery again, right? So this retracement could be all bought up. We're getting a bit of volume in this horizontal level right above the volume gap. It didn't fall. We're holding nice support on this 50 EMA on the daily, which is a very nice level of support. Yes, we have the 200 that is slowly building right over here, but that would be a deep retracement. which would essentially mean that the price is going to come right back down and get right through this volume gap and look for horizontal support on these highs, and obviously the bottom of the volume gap, where you can see the beginning of a big amount of volume here that could act as support. But where we are right now from a bullish perspective, guys, risk to reward is fairly healthy. But just keep in mind, as we leave the station, because we are leaving the station, you can see this thing's rolling to the upside. As we keep on going, those entries are gone. You're going to incur a little bit more risk. And what you want is to have a healthy risk to reward ratio. So let's look at this. Right now on the daily, to be honest, the RSI, all it's really giving you is horizontal support in the chop zone. The 50% mark of the RSI is a great chop zone area that you could expect the price to consolidate, and that is exactly what it's doing. Now, in the accumulation phase of the bear market, or transitionary phase from bear market to bull market, we had a lot of sideways price action. Sideways price action that essentially would cause the market to bring the price overbought, consolidate, and then oversold, and fairly cyclical. But as we get bullish and as the market sentiment gets bullish, the oversold conditions are going to be very, very rare. And they're not going to, because those retracements are not going to be so deep. So this is something that we have to understand, that currently it's very likely that we see maybe Tectum hold this level of support like it did in the past pretty much, and get a bounce and get overbought again. And if that's the case, you're expecting to at least at minimum to get to previous highs. Very, very likely, right? Because if you look above, there's not much volume in this price action. It could definitely just start running. Now, we did get a bit of divergence here, higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI, and this is the daily. You can see that our price action was going higher, and then we got a slightly lower high here on the RSI, which is a class A bearish divergence. We got a bit of follow through, no doubt. We got a bit of support on the RSI in the chop zone, great. And then if you look at the MACD right now, and this is pretty much consistent across the board in the crypto space, the MACD is looking good. The MACDs are getting EMA crosses with green histogram bars as we are holding certain great levels of support. So with regards to Tectum, we got a few good indicators here. The horizontal on the top of the volume gap, again, the 50 EMA that's held support. The fact that we're curling upwards is pretty cool. We got the chop zone holding steady, and we got the RSI bouncing above the yellow EMA on the RSI, which is good. And the MACD, EMA's crossing, doing its thing. So bullish, pretty good. What I would like to see is a bit of volume right here to give us an indication that, yes, over time, market participation is interested. No doubt. You can see the bit of a spike. But to get a nice volume breakout so that we can get some conviction that we're actually going to break out of the previous highs, or at least get to all-time highs, we need some more localized volume in the tail end of this consolidation. So I would love that scenario. Obviously, you don't get it all. You don't get all your confirmations, everything you're looking for. Every trade has a bit of risk. It's about risk to reward. So let's jump into the 4-hour quick. It's also in the chop zone. Look how, basically it's been a stable coin for so long, and it's currently at the top of the range. Do we get rejected, come back at the bottom? Guys, it's very possible. So what I'm trying to say here is, ultimately, we try to get our best entries, but don't be greedy about it, because you might not even get an entry here on Tectum. What you got to consider is your risk to reward. So here on the 4-hour, you can see with a little bit more detail some of this price action. And it's clear that if you would put a stop loss right underneath these bottoms, your reward versus your risk would be pretty decent. Now, what about if we came down? We could DCA right into this consolidation a little bit more to bring our average cost down and still maintain a healthy, improve our healthy risk to reward ratio, and also put a nice stop loss underneath. So let's do a trade setup here so you can see what I'm saying. Now, let's say we got in here and we put our stop loss right underneath these lows, which would, protect us from falling all the way down to about $13.81, give or take. If that were to be the case, that we break down, expect that to be the bearish target. But if we even went to the golden pocket, the ratio is not the greatest. If we went to the tops, okay, the ratio starts to improve. You're at 2 to 1, 2.3 to 1, 2.3 to 1, not bad. So it's okay, right? I prefer a 3 to 1 ratio. And how would I achieve that? The only way to achieve that is to wait for a potential retracement. So a little one, even if we came down and touched the top of the 200 EMA on the 4-hour, we would improve that ratio significantly. It starts to become a 4.5 to 1, which is a super great risk to reward ratio. So this is what I'm saying. If you accumulate in here, try to double down as it comes down and hold your level of support at this level because it's your invalidation of your long thesis. If it gets invalidated, cut yourself off. If it stays within this range, you have to have those convictions in both fundamentals, in the technology itself, but also the TA, also the price structure. The price structure is very clear, and that's what I really appreciate about Tectum's price action, is that, look, your invalidation and your stop loss is super outlined right here with this red box, very clear volume gap. Actually, the volume gap seems like it was chiseled to perfection. You can see the emptiness right into this level. So really, that's where you're going to invalidate, and believe that a lot of market participation might be thinking the same thing. So give yourself a bit of wiggle room in the stop loss, accumulate right underneath here, and expect that bounce and continuation to the upside. Now, if it does come down, if Bitcoin does come down, at least you were able to protect your initial investment, your capital. Protect that capital, because if it does come down, you're going to want those stop losses. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor and slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. It is a great place and time to make those requests, and I'll put them in top priority. Guys, feel free to join that Discord. The Discord's where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.